Hello, welcome to the Homeschool Show. This is Melanie Willis.
And I'm Amanda Wares.
We're here to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. Hi, Amanda. What do you have for us today?
So today I am wanting to continue on with meeting the NCHE board, and you are on the NCHE board. So tell us all a little bit about what you do for NCHE. What's your role on the board? Just go for it.
Okay, so I am currently the Community Relations Director, and I just took over that role this year, just a couple of months ago. Before, I was the Region 2 liaison for NCHE. And that was quite fun because I had actually just moved to Region 2 when I took that over. And I've lived in North Carolina my whole life and knew almost nothing about Region 2. So it was a lot of fun. I real quickly went online. I learned everything I possibly could, kind of printed out all the names of different towns and cities and what counties they were in because I didn't have a real good basis. I had the homeschooling knowledge, but not so much the knowledge of where it was. So it's been fun because that's really helped me to learn the area that I live in now. And so then again, recently I just took over as community relations director. And so that's exactly what it sounds like. Just this wonderful North Carolina homeschool community and making sure that we're all connected and we have liaisons in each region. And I just kind of help them out to make sure that they can do their job and connect with all of the members of their community. And it's awesome. I love NCHE.
That's so good. And let's see, you described a little bit about what the regional liaisons do, but can you tell us a little bit more about what these regional liaisons do? Because you're kind of over them as community relations director. So tell us about what do they do?
So the liaisons are really a solid meat section of what NCHE has to offer you because they're there. They're there. Yeah. You can go on the NCHE website and look up your region and you can make personal contact with your liaison and they can answer all kind of questions you have, anything about homeschooling and just any problems that you're having or successes you want to share with them. That's great. If you have a homeschool group co-op that you want to have somebody from NCHE come out and speak about homeschooling and answer questions for your group, they are your people that can come out and do that. And there's, like I said, there's one for each region. We have 9 regions and you can look them up on the website. We'd love to hear from you.
Love that. And I have always thought, as long as I've been involved with NCHE, that the regional liaisons, the community relations work that you do is really, like you said, I think it's one of the most important things that we do. And I love that whenever somebody in a particular area has a question or wants to find their people in that
Yeah.
area, that we have somebody that they can reach out to. I love that so
Yes,
much.
each liaison maintains a list on the website that has a large number of co-ops and groups or Facebook pages that you can reach out to in your area. So that's a great resource that is on the website. It doesn't have every single co-op out there. It's just the ones that have, met up with NCHE and agreed to put their information out there. So, there's always more to be found, but it's a great start.
Totally. All right. Oh, and you can find all of that information, everything about what Melanie does and everything about the regions and local groups under the community tab
That's
at
right.
nche.com. So, all
That's right. Very
right.
good. So I think we're going to move into our what we've seen on the internet section, right? So first off, man, I did see you and Matthew last week with your show, and you discussed your homeschool names and whether you could change them or not. So I wanted to share my little story about choosing my name and the effect that it
Okay.
has had on my homeschool. Because when I started homeschooling, we lived on the coast. We lived near Morehead City. And we spent all that time that you see everybody else, what should I call my homeschool? What should I call my homeschool? And, just like Matthew, I think he said theirs was McDill Academy. And so we chose Willis Academy, but we added the word Seaside. So we are the Willis Seaside Academy, and now we live in the mountains. So we're still Willis Seaside Academy because you can't change it. So it's not a
That's
big
right.
deal. It's just not a big deal at all. But it is something to consider when you're naming your homeschool, because I never considered that we would move. And why, I don't know, because we've moved a couple of times. And so it's something to think about. But it's cute. It's not a big deal. Every now and then the kids will say, we're Willis Seaside Academy Mountain Edition. So it's just something else to think about. But
I love that.
all right. So
Exactly. That's awesome. Okay.
the question I have for you today, well, I guess not necessarily a question. This is what we've seen on the internet. And I know, Amanda, you saw the same Facebook post that I saw, where somebody was just really, really frustrated with homeschooling. They're ready to give up. They say it's too hard. And it was quite a lengthy post, just how, the kids couldn't engage. They weren't doing a good job. You've got this age kid doing one thing and another age kid doing another, and you're trying to teach one and somebody's interrupting you. And I know a lot about that. I was homeschooling 6 kids at one time. And yeah, there's a lot going on. And I'll have some more things to say about that in a minute. But as we looked through, because I was trying to find that post that you and I had both seen, I found there's a lot of these where the parents are just really frustrated. And I know it's hard. And it's hard when you put all that responsibility on yourself, that you're growing these children, and the feeling of, am I good enough? And so I saw a couple of things here. It says, I think I made a huge mistake. I have every insecurity that I could have, but I'm determined to make this happen. It says, I really hate that I feel like giving up on this. And basically she goes on to say how she really just despises homeschooling, and her children, she feels like her children hate her. And I get it. I absolutely get it. Another one that says, I'm giving up on homeschooling. It's too hard to teach multiples at the same time. I feel so defeated. This one, she says they've homeschooled for 2 years, and that her children still hate it and her. Every single day is a battle. No matter what I do. I've signed them up for social events. I've signed them up for co-op. I've signed them up for classes in person. I've tried to teach them what they want to learn. It just seems like nothing works. And this is not anything new. And I feel so, my heart goes out to people that are feeling that frustration and that desire to maybe give up, because you and I know we've been doing this for a long time. It is hard. And sometimes it's not. But in the end, it is absolutely the most rewarding thing that we can do. And it's the number one thing that we can give to our children that we're capable of doing. We don't need a special skill to make it happen. So what do you think, Amanda?
Man, all of those posts, that just breaks my heart. And because I have been there my own
Yes.
self. I mean, I remember that feeling of, oh, I am failing. I am failing these children. I am failing at what I'm supposed to be doing. This is supposed to be my job. And I'm messing it all up. And I'm so thankful to be kind of on the other side now. I've been doing this 20 years. I've graduated 3 of my kids. And so now I can look back with the perspective of saying, oh, my adult kids are okay. I didn't
Okay.
screw them up too badly.
Exactly.
But what do you do when you're in that situation and you
Yeah.
just are so overwhelmed? You're so defeated, like that one post said. And my answer to that is probably multifaceted, because it really depends on finding what really is the issue.
Yes.
And
Yes.
for me, in different times, the issue was different things. So there might have been a time when the problem really was me and my own my own mental health, my own emotional health, sometimes my physical health, that I wasn't taking care of myself at all. And that was bleeding over into our homeschool. So
Right.
that's one thing that maybe needs to be addressed is really as homeschool moms and homeschool dads, we need to take care of ourselves. I
Yes.
think sometimes that gets put on the back burner and you end up, shoveling a bite of hot dog or chicken nugget at lunch and then you wonder why you feel so terrible,
Yeah.
Um, we have to take care of ourselves so that we can be the best homeschool parent that we can be. So that was one thing that really was a factor for myself.
Sometimes
Another
that
thing
means taking
is,
a day that you don't do school, and that's okay.
yeah, absolutely. That was the next thing I was going to say is, um, it is, we're on the same page. Absolutely, Melanie. The next thing I was going to say is, I think there has to be a point where we really let go of that institutional school
Yeah.
mindset. Like we have in our head this idea of what school is going
Yes.
to look like and what it should be and what the results should be. And until we really let go of that, then
Yeah.
we will feel
You've
defeated. We
already
will
heard me
feel
say
frustrated
multiple
because,
times this year that it's it's our school and we can do with it what we want to. We don't have to recreate that public school setting that most of us grew up in. And it's okay to
exactly,
switch things up and do things different for a day or so or longer. Like you had to do,
or
just
longer.
totally rewrite what you're doing, do it a different way.
Yes, 100%. I think it's so important. And sometimes, like we have this idea in our head, okay, this is the perfect curriculum. I'm going to choose this. It's great. And then you get into it and it's not so great. It's
No.
not working well. You have a lot of little kids and maybe you don't have the time to spend doing every single subject separately with every single child. And so, yeah, I think we have to let go of that public school, institutional school mindset
Yeah.
and not be afraid to step outside of the box
Yep.
in whatever way, whatever that looks like. If it looks like, oh, we're going to go to the library today, I did that many times. I was like, okay, we are packing up these books and we're going to the library. And that's what we did, or to the park
Yes. We've done
or
school at the
whatever,
park before.
whatever. Definitely, we have too. And for whatever reasons, at least in my experience, for whatever reason, sometimes just that switching it up like that really
Hmm.
does help
Yeah.
everybody's attitudes, everybody's
Yeah.
feelings, and sometimes that was enough to change the whole tone of
Right.
what was happening in our homeschool. So there's a lot, there's so many facets to address in that. There is
Yeah.
no just
Well, and I
quick and
think
easy answer to that, but yeah, go ahead.
there's so many answers. And one of the things that I would say is definitely to come to thrive, because there's so many
Yes.
talks that happen in those workshops that are discussing this very topic. And they have so many more ideas. I have the ideas that I know worked for me. And I did look
Mhm.
for things, you know, based on my children's abilities. They didn't always have to stay in a certain grade level that, we say they're third grade, they can only do third grade work. And, like with
Oh,
science
yes.
specifically, all my kids did the same science every year. And by the time we went
Mhm.
through, was it 5 or 6 years, they had all the science classes that they would have had through all of elementary school. They just did it at a different grade than what they would have in a public school. And they were learning together. And that made it so much easier
That's
on me.
exactly. Oh, yes.
So, yeah,
That is a really good point too. We always combined
yes,
for all the like content, I think it's called content subjects, like history, science,
right,
art, music, any literature, any of the things that we could combine, we did.
right. Well, and
So,
the
yeah.
other thing is just believe in yourself, because You need to think about what you do have to offer and the time spent together as a family that you can never get back. You know, how many hours in a day is it if you send them someplace else that that adds up over a long time. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. Absolutely not. You know, and if there's a year or so that's just a delayed year while you're working things out and your kids are maturing, then so be it. Whatever works for your school is what you need to do and
Yeah,
take the stress off.
absolutely. I remember talking to someone that said, okay, we are going to take a month and
Hmm.
focus on character
Yes.
because we all, mom included, need
Yes.
to work on our character. And
Absolutely.
a lot of times it's me more than anybody that needs to work on things, but um there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's not going to ruin anything. If you take some time, let's work on our habits. Let's work on, our routine. Let's work on our character. There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with that. It's fine. One more thing I was going to say about feeling like these children hate me and they hate each other.
Well,
One thing that I love about, Facebook has pros and cons, but one thing I love about it is the memories feature. I
yes.
love to look back because I've been on Facebook for 15 years or so, to look back from 15 years ago and the things I would say, the struggles I was having
Yes,
with
absolutely.
all little kids at that point. And I would say, like, these children are going to hate me and hate each other. I'm convinced. And
Right.
now here we are 15 years later. And really, truly, I've said this before, but it is true. These kids, now young adults, are each other's best friends. And they are some of my very best friends. And if you had told me that 15 years ago, I would have laughed in your face and
Oh, yeah.
I would have not believed you at all. But here we are, and it really turned out okay. So try to hang on. If you,
Yes.
I know that feeling so well, but try to
Yes.
hang on. It really is going to be okay.
And I guess we both said that this is the
All
last thing,
right.
but the last thing is, like I just told you before, we do have our email addresses are all over the website. You can email us and you can reach out to us and say, I'm struggling. And we can be somebody for you to talk to and try to help you through the rough times. So, as we move into our next section,
100%.
Amanda, what do you have for us today for Homeschool Helps?
All right. So today in Homeschool Helps, I'm going to talk about homeschooling young children. So this could be preschool age, this could be young elementary age. And I think when you have kids that are young, especially if it's your first one to homeschool, you can feel a lot of pressure to start those academics, really early, to jump into reading and all the things super early. And then you might get frustrated, and they might get frustrated if it's not clicking. So, my encouragement, my help for today is sometimes they're just not ready. I have heard from some of our wise pioneers that are on our board that have homeschooled, many years ago, and they really benefited from um, Dr. Raymond Moore
Mhm.
and his approach, which was better late than early. So it was this idea of delaying academics until they're a little bit older. And while in my homeschool, I did not necessarily delay academics on purpose, but I did kind of wait until they were ready. I did We did all the things. We read books, we went on field trips, we played outside. We did things that probably were school, but not book work until they were a little bit later, maybe 6, maybe 7. So if you have, you feel like, oh, they're 5. I have to start kindergarten. I have to start teaching them to read. Don't feel that pressure. It's okay to wait. It's okay to let them developmentally get to the point where they can learn. And when it's time for them, unless there's some other issue going on. Now, I have a son with dyslexia, and that's a whole nother issue. So I get that. But under regular circumstances, waiting until they're ready, then it will just click. It's kind of like with potty training. I always said with my kids, if you wait until they're ready for potty training, then potty training will not be difficult, usually. So this is another, and it kind of all ties in to what we were just talking about also, that like with one of my sons, super active, brilliant, wanted to learn all the things, but also super active, could not sit still. So the way I dealt with that is we did a little bit when he was ready for kindergarten. You know how I feel about grade levels. I've talked about that. But when he was ready to start some book work, some schoolwork, we would do just a little bit, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And then he would go and run because he had to get that energy out. And then he'd come back and we'd do a little bit more. And then he would go and run. And then he'd come back and we'd do a little bit more. And that's just how we did it. That's how we made it work. And it worked great for us. So anyway, my encouragement to all of you is if you have young children, whether they're preschool age, young elementary age, do not put pressure on yourself. Do not put pressure on them to do all this academic work that maybe they're not developmentally ready for. They could be intellectually ready. Maybe they're super smart. They know they could learn their letters, sure, but developmentally, it might be best for them. And I think usually it is to wait a little bit longer. So that's my helps for today.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's just so important. And like you said, clicks in with exactly what we were discussing before. If we make it hard on ourselves, of course, we're going to get frustrated. So Amanda, what do you have for homeschool news for us today?
Okay, so we have a few things going on. I want to remind you again for the Moms Retreat. It is not too late to sign up. So you still have a little bit of time left to get those registrations in. We want to see you there. We have a few more spots, so please join us. We would love to see you there. It is such a great time. Again, going back to feeling frustrated and defeated in your homeschool, I think a retreat like this where you're around other homeschool moms who have been there and can just speak to that situation so perfectly, that could make all the difference in your homeschool. So if you are feeling frustrated and defeated, this is a great opportunity for you to really help with that situation. There's also a field trip coming up. I love field trips, so I always get excited when there's one coming up. We are going to the Caladium. So I said it wrong last time, but the Caladium Children's Museum in Winston-Salem. We're going there on October 31st, and you can still sign up for that on the website. And then last but not least, we had told you last time about a mini conference that was going to happen in the mountain region up in the Asheville area. And that is postponed, obviously. I know you all that are watching or listening to this, you know that our beloved mountain region where you're from, Melanie, a little bit west of you, was so devastated from Hurricane Helene this past week, and it just all the devastation breaks my heart. But obviously that has affected plans for our mini conference, so that is postponed. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we will keep you updated as plans for that develop.
Very good. Thank you for that, Amanda. And so I guess until next time, enjoy your homeschooling.
And keep homeschooling with confidence and joy.